Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a real head-scratcher in the iGaming world, Antigua and Barbuda. It's a tiny island nation that somehow became a giant in online gambling licensing. To figure this out, we're using a deep dive report from the Gambling Database's research team. Now, these are the folks dedicated to delivering in-depth analyses of the global iGaming landscape. In their reports, they explore everything from local regulations and taxes to player trends, giving us a super clear, data-driven picture of what makes each market tick.
So to really get what's happening today, you've got to rewind the clock way back. Because when you talk about iGaming pioneers, Antigua and Barbuda isn't just on the list, it is the list. They were the very first nation on the planet to license internet gaming all the way back in 1994. They didn't just join the game, they pretty much invented it.
That history is seriously impressive for sure, but it leads to the big money question for any operator looking at the market in 2025. Does being the first still matter? Does that legacy actually translate into a smart business move now? That's exactly what we're here to find out.
To answer that, let's start in the most logical place, the local market. You'd think that's where the opportunity is, right? Well, when it comes to Antigua and Barbuda, as we're about to see, the local market is, well, it's a bit of an illusion. First things first, let's talk about population. The total number of people on the islands is just under 100,000. To put that into perspective, we're not talking about a big city. That's more like a large town. It's a really small player pool to draw from.
And if you put a dollar figure on that tiny player pool, you're looking at just $3.2 million. That is the entire domestic online gambling market. For any major global operator, that's barely a rounding error.
And if we drill down even further, the report estimates there are only about 2,800 active online gamblers in the whole country. So let's be blunt, the local market is for all intents and purposes non-existent.
And this is where the paradox really kicks in. You have a tiny, almost insignificant local market, and yet over 500 international operators hold a license here. So what gives? Why? Well, it turns out they aren't there for the local players at all.
So, here it is, the answer to the whole puzzle. The real value of an Antiguan license has nothing to do with getting access to its 98,000 residents. No, it's about getting access to the entire world.
And this is the number that explains everything. For offshore operators that are targeting international markets, the tax rate on their gaming revenue is 0. Yep, not low, not competitive, 0.
And just to be super specific, we're talking about gross gaming revenue tax, GGR, the tax on your revenue after you've paid out winnings to players. In a lot of major jurisdictions, say the UK, this could be over 20%. In Antigua, for these offshore licensees, it simply doesn't exist.
And that 0% tax is really just the beginning. The entire framework is built for global operations. You also get 0 corporate income tax. No taxes on player winnings, which is a huge selling point for your customers. Plus, you don't have to deal with expensive requirements for a local office or local servers. The whole model is designed for maximum efficiency and global reach.
Okay, so that all sounds pretty great, but let's get down to the practical side of things. What does it actually take to get yourself set up with one of these licenses?
The process itself is pretty structured. You submit a really detailed application with all your corporate and personnel details. Then, the key people, all the beneficial owners, have to go through some pretty rigorous background checks. And of course, your tech stack and all your games get audited for fairness and security. All in, you're looking at a timeline of about 3 to 6 months to get your license approved.
Now, let's talk about the financials. You've got a one-time application fee of $75,000 and a required bank guarantee of $100,000. After that, the annual renewal is a flat $50,000. Now look, it's not the cheapest license out there, but here's the key thing. It's a predictable flat fee structure. For high-volume operators, that is way more attractive than a model based on a percentage of their revenue. So, let's bring all this together. We've seen the two very different sides of the Antiguan story. The tiny local market on one hand, and the powerful global licensing hub on the other. So, what's the final call?
The report's critical reality check section just puts it perfectly. It really all comes down to what you're trying to achieve. If you need a tax-efficient, credible license to target players in Europe or Asia or Latin America, then Antigua is a fantastic choice. But if you're thinking of entering the local Antiguan market to find new players, honestly, stay away. The numbers just aren't there.
And this quote from the Gambling Databases report really drives the point home. The value isn't about the market in Antigua, it's about the global market you can serve from Antigua. It all centers on credibility, those tax benefits, and efficient compliance. That's the whole game.
Of course, we've only just scratched the surface here. The full report from Gambling Databases goes much, much deeper into everything from the technology infrastructure to local player behavior. For the full text of this report and many others, you can visit their website at gamblingdatabases.com. And we'll make it easy. We'll put a direct link in the pinned comment below.
And that brings us right back to where we started. Antigua and Barbuda is the original iGaming jurisdiction. But as we've seen, its value today isn't really in its past, but in its strategic, tax-efficient framework that's built for global operators. So the question for you is this legacy license the key to unlocking your global future? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.